Hello, everybody. My name is Marissa Edmiston, and the reading strategy that I had regarding EDEX 323 is Reader's Theater. I will now share my presentation that I made for this topic. Reader's Theater, as I explained, is my strategy, and Reader's Theater can be defined as children utilizing the arts to expand on different concepts such as morals and states like that. Regarding this lesson, I wanted to include it in my language arts dramatic pieces lesson. Dramatic pieces would be Aesop's fables, folk tales, and items like that. It would be third grade, and the students with exceptionalities that I would have are KB, who is an ELL student whose original language is Spanish, who has a good understanding of English. However, she still struggles with comprehension. My adaptations for the student would be, KB will be given all materials in her original language, which is Spanish. RT is a student who's originally from Portugal, who was diagnosed with autism. She has a good understanding of English when given visuals and gestures and are used when reading. My objectives would include, when given a folk tale, the students will be able to read the folk tale, Tortoise and the Hare, and answer the comprehensions with a 95% accuracy. The students will read the story of the Tortoise and the Hare and use the information to come up with the moral of the story, which is the 95% accuracy. Regarding language, the students will discuss their morals with their peers, the morals they have decided for the story with their peers as they report to the table groups by orally explaining the information and using visual with by using a visual while using full participation. My rationale for this lesson would be, this lesson addresses reading with students to read between the lines of the characters, the tortoise and the hare, and the other characters. The students will be then, the characters that the students are given or assigned. Writing will be utilized for the students through exit slips, where the students will write one sentence about what they think the story's main idea is and comprehensions about the text. Listening is critical when it comes to the peers, listening to directions throughout the lesson, as well as listening to their peers in their group in order to make sure they say their lines at the right time. The students will be speaking as they present their lines, as they will be as well as partaking in classroom discussion after saying these lines. I will model now how I will begin the lesson. All right, boys and girls, today we are going to become moral detectives. Before we dive deeper into the story and what a moral is, we're going to go over a couple of important vocab words with you and with everybody that will help us learn our before we hop into our story. Our vocab includes folk tales, a origin or story originating in a popular culture, typically passed on through word of mouth. A moral is being concerned with the principles of right and wrong behavior and the goodness and the badness of human characters. Race is to compete against other people or animals in a race. A main character is the center point in a work of fiction or a play or a novel. A tortoise and the hare are quite explanatory. A tortoise is a turtle, a hare is a type of rabbit. The beginning is a point in time or space at which something will start. The middle is the point of or position that has a equal distance from side to edge of something. And at the end, the end or final part of something, especially a period of time, activity, book, or movie. Alrighty, boys and girls, now that we've covered the moral, after we covered the vocabulary and the definitions, here I will then put a red hood in front of them, a lion figure in a lion, and a turtle statue and a lion statue in front of them. I will then state something along the lines of, okay, boys and girls, before we hop into our lesson, we're going to think back to what we know already. Looking at these three objects, what objects do you think these stories come from? I will then wait, I will then include 5-second wait time as I allow the students to look at the objects and think about it, and then I will call on the student. For those students who do not feel more comfortable speaking in front of everybody, I will just have them point to the object they know and things like that. I will then go on to explain, okay, boys and girls, now that we're done with that, I'm going to break you up into groups of 5, and this will be your core group. Each core group will be assigned, everybody will be assigned 1 character. Then you're going to go around and read the story to each other. Isn't that exciting? After I assign the characters, I will walk around and pass around a copy of Aesop's Fables to all of my students. Regarding KB, I will give her a version in Spanish. My apologies. I will then have the students highlight their lines so they recognize what their lines are. I will then state something along the lines of, all right, boys and girls, let's start reading our story. And as they begin to read the story in their little groups, I will float around to each group and ask and answer all of the questions they may have. After I believe that all of the students are done, I will bring everybody back to the carpet in front of the group and ask the students a question such as along the lines of, all right, boys and girls, what did everybody think of the story? And I will listen to their responses. I will then ask the students, I will then go over the definitions of moral once again by explaining that it is, a moral is something that helps depict good versus evil or good and bad characteristics in humans or characters. I will then have the students think of a moral and raise their hand and they can tell me what they think of the moral of the story might be. A moral of the story that might be brought up would be don't judge a book by its cover, slow and steady always wins the race, and things like that. I will sort of try to push the discussion to the moral of the story being slow and steady wins the race and don't judge a book by its cover. After that, I will hand out the students a beginning, middle, and end chart and then break down the beginning, middle, and end once again. I will state something along the lines of the beginning of a story is basically the start of the story. The middle is where everything, all of the juicy parts happen. And at the end is the final or the conclusion of the story. I will then have the students break apart again so they can write what they think the beginning, middle, and end of the story is. And depending on time, I will, and if the class is short on time, I will just, do it along with them. I will then conclude the story by giving them I will then go over what they said about what they think the beginning, middle, and the end of the story are, and then hand out an exit ticket. The exit ticket will have 2 questions. What do you think the moral of the story is? And if you were the tortoise or the hare, would you change? If you could change a point in the story, what would it be and why? Regarding a review and assessment, I would informally assess the student's understanding of the concepts by listening to the responses and while during floating around the room, listening to them reading and answering questions. Regarding formal assessment, I will formally assess the students by the exit ticket they have. Regarding self-evaluation, I will self-evaluate the lesson by, after the lesson is complete, listing 3 things that went well and 3 things that I will need to change for the future. Thank you so much for listening.